Shalom, everyone. Shalom. Can you all hear me? Give me a one if you can hear me. Um, Sorry, I am running late. I'm telling you, everything literally just kind of came against me with just about everything. It was like as soon as I said I wanted to go to the slave castle, because I was supposed to be going to Cape Coast this morning. I was supposed to be there at this time. I should have been doing an actual um, tour at this time. But boy, oh boy, I'm telling you, that spirit of oppression is real up in here. And, you know, when I think about what it is that I'm actually dealing with, I'm not dealing with flesh and blood. This is spiritual. This is a real deal in terms of spiritual oppression. So this morning, I was supposed to go to uh, um, Cape Coast and went down from the car that I was in, the Hilux that I was in. Um, yeah, like as I said yesterday, that thing was all shot up, and you know, unfortunately, you get what you pay for, and I have to be very frugal because I really didn't plan very well with this. Part of what the planning is to make sure that I can actually have, transportation funds. So flight, hotel, transportation, and even food. Because if you're hungry and starving and aren't drinking water, then honestly, you're not doing anything. You're just gonna be literally just going out here, just walking and and mean mugging people. But what ended up happening was as I was trying to, work through some things in terms of the logistics, I had to get what I could pay for, and we needed to have a 4x4, and the cheapest type of 4x4 that you can get, is a Hilux, and we're not talking about a Hilux that's like recent. A lot of these vehicles are literally about um, 5 to 10 years old. So, they've been very, very worn. So I've been getting kind of the across special of sorts, just enough to kind of take me around. And when I planned yesterday, trying to plan for, having a little bit of a better 4x4, because every single time we would hit a good bump in the road, the uh the glove compartment would be busting me in the knees. So so you know, I said, Father, thank you for the patience, and thank you, Father, that I can schedule an appointment with the VA. That is a blessing, honestly, in itself. But the roads here are not the greatest, and they get even less great um when you get outside of the city. And so right now we're kind of in the city still. We're actually in Accra because again I could not go. um and it was just something really simple and and minor that really blew up to become something a little bit more major. And the minor thing about this was, you know, when you are, it's the simple things that we take for granted. It's simple that we take for granted. And these are some of the things that aren't necessarily either explained or exposed to them. So when we were trying to switch out a the person switched out of Yeah, sorry about that, family. The internet connection's so bad on out here that at any time, um, I you will lose me, and we're literally in the heart of a crowd. Yeah, it's and unfortunately, because of what I'm doing, I'm literally doing things in the heart of the day at 11:30 out here. So I'm now in the midst of moving. The only type of internet connection that I had that was decent since being here was when I went over to um, the port, not the port, excuse me, um, uh, the one coastal town that I was visiting. So going back to the story, as you know, I had a 2 minute pause. Unfortunately, sorry. Um, the process of returning a vehicle and then getting a vehicle that would have enough gas was obviously lost on people. And when my driver came and we had left, it was about 6:45, and went out to the car, and the car didn't start because it didn't have gas. And unfortunately, when you are planning for these types of trips, I can understand the driver's predicament because he was already running late trying to figure out what was going on with the car. Made That was the most high allowing him to get the car to where I was at, because I'm about a good 15 to 20 minutes from him. The car had zero gas. And as the car had zero gas, I could tell that this day was, kind of ebbing away. Because honestly, if you don't get out and do things early, then your day is done. I think it's some really nice apartments right here. Nice homes. 5 bedroom. Really nice. Look at that, 5 bedroom. So these are nice homes. These are the homes right here. These are the homes right here. So I was told to come on out here to do a tour, but now you can actually see some things on the ground here in the crop. And I'll have some obvious some video. Obviously, I'll have some videos to show, but yeah, I mean, look at these homes right here. That's what they try to hide. I'm exposing all of Ghana's secrets. So, but those are certainly it's one of those things that's where we take for granted in terms of just the just the regular thought process. So no, we're not going to the Islamic University of Ghana. I'm not I'm not here as a guest imam. But you know what though? The thing is that you may think that something high rent, and a lot of these homes you can buy them. A lot of these homes you buy, and there are some plots that here in Accra, as I was looking, they were starting for around 30,000 CD, which, to be honest, that's maybe about 2,800 dollars, give or take the price of the CD against the dollar, because the dollar has just been here in fluctuation, with everything. So give me a second. We're in the back alley, and it's gonna get pretty rough around here. So the vehicle that I was able to get was, a little better. It was a little RAV4, that was um that should have carried, us on over there, but the vehicle was just in bad shape. When we did the Hilux was in bad shape also. So, going to the airport, well, you're paying literally American price premiums. Is this it? I don't know if this is it. To cross, is this it? To Crosso? So you don't know? We don't know where it's at? Yeah, you probably need to call Winston. So yeah, so we're here. We're just now kind of stopped here. I think I have a pretty decent internet connection, but I'm not gonna lie, it's hot on out here. It's definitely hot. But while I'm talking to you, I'm not just gonna stay in the car, because if I do, then I'm gonna be sweating my behind off. So I'm gonna go on out here and just kind of move from here. Give me a second. All right. Sorry, I got hot spots, folders, you name it, all just kind of on me. So yeah, phones dropping everywhere. You have to have your you have to have your local burner just to be able to operate on out here. But I'm kind of here in a back alley of back alley of Accra. Give me a second. Let me get myself situated so you can see. I'm right next to the Islamic University of Ghana, where I'm supposed to be. Um, it's in an area I'm supposed to take a look at because let me show you this. So, I mean, these are your typical alleys. Again, it's not to. It is what it is. This is all over the continent. Doesn't matter if you're in Tanzania, Burkina Faso, or even here in Ghana. That's just how that goes. So, again, they really don't do any type of leverage of mills and things of that nature for a lot of their public works. It really is like one of the homeowners or a homeowners association, they all spring for funds to just, you know, pave the alleyways, every so often. But that's kind of how that goes. You see how this is. So this homeowner, they paved out the alleyway so it can actually, you know, be drivable for a little bit, and then it's back to the unfinished roadway and construction. So, but these homes, they're pretty nice. They're very nicely constructed. So you have the Medex College. You have some things going on here. Construction that's still going. Construction is always kind of hit or miss. It's always, if you have the money, then you build. If you don't have the money, then it doesn't get built. It just stays. It doesn't get built. It stays like this. So, a lot of what we think is going to be expensive is probably about maybe $500 or $600, right? A month, $500 or $600 a month. So yeah, if you are, you know, retiree, or if you're a veteran that's, on disability and things of that nature, yeah, you probably would be able to come through and um and do something out here. You probably be able to come through and create on out here. So a lot of these homes, I mean, you're seeing these homes over here. I turned I turned Covenant Awakening into a a Ghanaian real estate search. I mean, those are some really nice homes. That's a really nice little complex, modern design, things of that nature. So so it can be um taken care of. But it's really gonna be how do you get people to pull in an investment to where then you can get it taken care of. Oh, I think that's just one big complex. Wow, that's a nice home. Oh wow. So I'm not trying to be all up in people's, business with stuff, but those are just certainly some of the things um that you look at. And there's also, I mean, listen, going through that countryside, going through those mountains, there's a whole bunch of more land and acreage that you can hide here in Ghana. Do not get that twisted. So the reality is that as we continue to see these things, moving and happening, you know, things like this is just aesthetics. Because if you really wanted to, it would be easy to get at least, 5 or 6 people to pony up maybe $200 or $300 to get to get this paved on out. It shouldn't take that much. It really doesn't. But when they do it, though, listen, that's your property value. And then you can also have folks see in these little areas, these are all tenants or studios. These are apartments. People are living up in there. These are multifamily level apartments. So you're putting in on maybe right here, that's going to be uh maybe 3, 4 plots, half an acre. And see, you now have about 4 levels. That's actually a good rental. That's a good rental location. Yeah, everybody has their gates on out here, but see, in there it's multifamily. You have this is kind of your guest house slash like wash house. They have their property line kind of situated, but that's how that goes. And for this one, it looks as though this is also sitting on, 2 or 3 plots. No, probably a little bit more. Looks like that's actually sitting on about half an acre. So I'm seeing all the way back there. But look, you have your gate. Folks have their gates on up there as they're building, and they're going from there. So yeah. So again, um, I get a chance to show you all a little bit more of Ghana. Here on the ground. That's my guy behind me talking. He's trying to make sure that he's getting some stuff taken care of because you have to have your your Ghanaian person to be able uh, to help you on out, and especially in these times, because if not, you're gonna get ripped off. That's just how that goes. I've traveled way too many times to see that and understand it. I don't get mad because here's the thing: everybody wants to have their hustle. And see, I think these are the properties on over here right behind me, but they're still trying to like build them on out. And let me just kind of flip this right here. So you can see down the street, you have a lot of building going on here. You have a lot of residential going on here. So when you're dealing and looking at a lot of this, you got to make sure that um, the mindset is different. Actually, to me, this is probably one of the nicest streets that I've been on. It's actually paved up to the drainage. They keep their drainage open rather than graded, and that's just because if you're grading something, there's going to be a little bit more to that. Um, Ghana has Ghana has literally no shortages of chickens right there. No shortages. So just letting that chicken do its thing and take care of stuff. I think that's really not even a chicken. I think that's a rooster right there. So don't want to get on his bad side. Oh, he's getting those little bugs. So but yeah. So I'm right here at the I think it's the mosque. This is actually the mosque. Then right across the street from the mosque. It's a very nice housing complex. As you can see, this is a mosque right here on this side, and then that's the housing complex. So, but again, this is to me, this is actually one of your better streets here in Ghana. It's actually really nice. So, you know, It's very, again, it's very tropical to me. The weather feels more like a Tampa or Miami, just on hills, you know. And then really, as you kind of descend a little bit more down into towards the water, you have also the water area that you are able to then kind of navigate. So I want to continue to do my little walk, my walk and talk. And again, for those coming through, I do apologize, family. I apologize for number one being late, and number two not being able to go to um, Cape Coast. Cape Coast. Now, I didn't go to Cape Coast today, but I'm going to Cape Coast tomorrow. Today, I had a bit of a logistics effort, and it happens. It really does happen when, um, it wasn't, and I'm not going to credit so much the lack of planning. It's just when you're dealing then with the different conditions of Ghana, not a lot of things are really thought through. And here's the thing, and they know that. They've asked for help with that. Because remember, just as you have in the United States, where they're literally dumbing us down and they don't want us to actually think about critical thinking, that's the same things that you have around here. So we're all being dumbed down together. It's just the level of the severity of that, I would say, obviously, you would have that more here just because of the amount of resources that they have compared to the resources that we have. You see what I'm saying? So the reality is this: they can't dumb us down too much because we're really heavily integrated, right, with other communities within the United States. So we have other ethnic communities. So you can't really pull the, you know, I'll dumb you down real good type of aspect or initiative, because the communities will be like, well, that's affecting us too. See, when they come on out and say that that's affecting us, then there becomes a problem because now they understand, uh-oh, they see the game, they see what's happening, they understand what's going on. Oh, those are some really nice homes right there. Let me show you that kind of in the background. I'll walk towards there. I don't care. I ain't got nothing else better to do than to be nosy. Just gonna be nosy. So following my man right here. So you see, these are really nice homes. These are really nice areas. You even have solar panels on in there. Man, like a lot of these homes, I'm sorry, they look like what you would find in a Tampa or an Orlando. That's kind of how that goes, especially with the wood shingles. Not so much aluminum. Aluminum is, that's really more of a. It is in Florida. The aluminum roofs are in Florida, but they're kind of more in your country areas. Like something like this. This looks more like what I would see in like really a downtown Orlando and a downtown Tampa. The roof shingles and things of that nature. So they do look um it's aesthetically appealing. And honestly, this whole street look, see how I told you that the alleys and things of that nature? Well, look at what they did. Look at that. Even the sewage is covered for the most part. It's covered. The drainage and things of that nature. So what that does is, as you now have it graded, obviously, engineering 101, as the water runs off and it's actually graded, then your street is less likely to honestly deteriorate. It's less likely to do that. But here's a nice little, compound that they're kind of putting together. And then from there, folks come on in, they buy these homes, and it's not homes, they actually buy plots. They're buying the plots and then, they're putting the plots together and then they're selling out the plots because they can then say, look, this is what we have going on. I think the bars on the windows that far on up there. I mean, that's a little extreme unless you have like your vault or something up and up there. Yeah, this is actually stucco. So a lot of this is actually stucco and paint. So this one is more paint. If you see down towards, kind of the far end, that gray house, in that far end, past the servants. That's what those little these little homes right here on the corner. Those are called servants' quarters. So let me kind of give you a little bit more detailed right there. See, you could tell that that's stucco. You could tell the stucco on there. See, that's the stucco, but it hasn't really been painted just yet. That's kind of those are some things for like the last things that they'll do. Because see, they have the little cracks in the wall, so that has to be filled on in, and then you got to get it painted. So, so no, I'm not a certified uh international realtor. Back in 2020, I did take a real estate course, but the Most High had me do something else. Um, I'm glad though that He allowed me to become a certified project management professional, and that would then be able to help, with different things. So see, you have a lot of nice architecture. You have a lot of nice, facades. Look, they have a little accent wall with layered tile right there. Nice little street. I mean, you could tell. You could tell. Look, this is money right here. You know, but we look at, well, what does that money look like? Well, honestly, probably in their neck of the woods, this is probably about a good, you know, 75, 80,000 a year professional here in Ghana. This is what that professional would make, which then is really good. Oh, they got a mural of people blowing up the shofar. I don't know if you all can see it. I'm just being a little nosy right here. Now that's USD. That's USD. That's probably about, in terms of, the pound, maybe about 65 to what, 70,000, pound a year. But remember, look, I'm just here on the ground. This street right here, it looks like to me another regular street that you would find in the US. The only thing is that the curb is a little, you know, extra curby, compared to my foot. It's very much extra curby, you know. But but it kind of gives you that idea that look, you can survive around here. It's not too terrible. Look, the buildings are going on up, and the reality is that they have the jobs, they have or excuse me, they don't have the jobs. Sorry, I'm not going to say that. They don't have the jobs. But what they do have is they have the people that are here. They have the workforce that's here. They have the human resource that's here. So if they're throwing up homes, what do you think else they can throw up? Office buildings, medical manufacturing, you name it. Pharmaceuticals, you name it. Hospitals, you name it. See, it's real simple to come on over and you're going to do this or do that. Look, the reality of this is we have to come through wanting to help people. And really the biggest idea of help, let me show you this because yeah, solar panels right here down the street. We're going down there. See, they took care of this right here. You could tell they actually wanted people to kind of walk and move a little bit because you actually have now like a walk path, a walkway. Those are that's kind of your high end. Your high end is, you know, you make sure that people can then, you know, walk around your street. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? Yeah, the sewer is way too exposed, but that gives us an opportunity to show how to do a sewage system. And where does the sewer run off to? Well, if it just runs off without it actually being, collected, see they have the little shops and things of that nature. Westbury Homes right there. That's actually a lost opportunity to collect and filter and have water that could actually then be recirculated. And then that water, if you have grass and that grass is then, you know, um, plain or I would say watered by reclaimed water, then guess what? You now have more of an economic vehicle and it becomes less dusty. The reason why it's actually not as dusty as what you see right here is because it literally just rained. And so that's the house right there with the solar panels. Yeah, so Land Cruisers on in here. If anybody likes this area, well, let me show you. You have your if you have your Ghanaian international phone, you can do a WhatsApp house for sale right there. You'll have to just see that in the mirror so you can get an actual understanding. I'm not taking any commission or anything else. Just just letting you all know that there is a house for sale. It's pretty nice looking home. You can tell the grass and things kind of got overran, but you put some sod over that bad boy, some more grass seed, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. I think somebody left a gold chain over there, so I'll leave that there. I'm not gonna touch it unless somebody wants a gold chain. Who wants a gold chain? Someone got 700, 800, 800, 10, 10, 10, 11. So yeah, I'm kind of over here just looking at certain things. No, this is actually drainage for rain. This is actually drainage for rain. Sorry, my driver's he's letting me know that my time is running up because I gotta get to certain things. I'm just gonna leave that there. That's not mine, so I'm not gonna touch because listen, the Most High has literally provided for some awesome things going on here in Ghana. here in the continent. I'm gonna come on over here to the street. So you can see in these streets, you can see that look, these roads here, they're not bad. They're really not bad. They're actually relatively paved or kept up. The only thing that I don't see, well, they have maybe one or two, is that they don't really have the street lights like that. Probably would want to have a little bit more street lights just to kind of, lighten things on up so you're not having folks ram into things. Um, is the heat comparable to South Florida? Honestly, right now it's kind of the same. It's so they're getting out of their hot season. They're kind of getting into a dry season. Let me also show you this real quick. Another house for sale. If y'all want to buy a seven bedroom, 7 bedroom for rent. 7 bedroom for rent. Look at that. You be balling up in Ghana. You be balling on a teacher salary. Don't stop me from lying, man. I'll try to I'll try to see what I could do just to become a international teacher. Do they need international English teachers, and how much does that cost? Oh, that's actually really nice with the metal gratings right there. Yeah, they have the little lines overhead, but you got to remember this isn't. They're still developing. They are still developing. Just how things are going. So yeah, make no mistake about it. This is a really lovely area that I'm trying to find on out where some things are. Can you all hear me? Yeah, I kind of got kicked out a little bit. It's just this is one of the things that happens when you are, you know, here. And you're right. Um, Rachel, yeah.
it is about efficiency. So if they're able to do that, if they're able to, to develop, you got to remember some countries were not allowed to develop. Some countries weren't allowed to do this. Some countries were allowed to, but that was only because, they were able to have some sort of an arrangement of sorts, you know. And in the case of Rwanda, I mean, literally, that was due to a, uh, a genocide. And so instead of being implicated for the blame, the West basically allowed Rwanda to develop more. It wasn't because they just were able to peacefully develop more. No, they literally had to go through and, you know, massacred millions of people. So then that development was allowed to because, well, we're just going to throw you a bone. That's really what it was. You shouldn't have to develop because somebody threw you a bone. That's not fair. But then again, when I'm looking at a lot of these places, I mean, shoot, I see some places up in the Northeast that look like this. Or actually, excuse me, that look worse than this. I'm gonna pass this again. I think these are some sort of condos. And those condos, they look really nice. Have a multi-unit condo. Those are really nice. And look, they have visitors car park. That's actually pretty nice. So some of the things that, they tell you, well, it's this, it's that. I mean, but the thing is, at least in Ghana has stability. It's relatively peaceful. So that's the blessing. But isn't that sad that you have to talk about countries of being relatively peaceful? I mean, honestly, is the U.S. actually relatively peaceful? Or is it that they hide their numbers? Is it that they hide their amount of homicides? We've all known that they hide their homicide counts, that they go underreported. But then you have more convicted felons of some crimes, and it's like, well, did that ever get tallied in terms of national statistics? And then they'll say, oh, well, we still have to run the numbers. And, as we run the numbers, we still have to look at, certain statistics and factors. And then guess what they'll do? They'll never report the numbers, but they'll report the numbers for us. And then they'll say that we're the leading category. African Americans. Okay. But see, the problem is we've seen that song and dance, and now they're getting mad because we've understood who has been energizing and pumping us up to go against one another. We've decided not to fight one another and not kill or shoot one another. That's my ride for today down there. But we've decided that, you know, we didn't want to be victims or, you know, get the payoff to come and victimize our own people. Notice that we're not leading the numbers anymore in drug use. And then they wanted to what? Decriminalize drugs. Notice that. Notice how that works. I'm just giving you an observation. I'm not saying anything that derides the government. I'm not saying that. I'm just giving you observation. Whether or not you want to be able to critically think, well, guess what? That's now going to be you. Now, I'm going to tell you this. This is a lesson. This is a woe for literally the U.S. because right now you have people in power that don't want the nation to critically think about things. When you're not critically thinking about things, guess what's going to end up happening to you? You're going to go into tyranny. And that's what's happening. They're becoming an economic, they're coming, well, actually, what it is they're going into economic ruin. But they don't really want to tell people that they're going into economic ruin. They're trying to tell people that everything is fine and everything's okay. Because if you're in economic ruin, what are you going to say to people? Sorry, but in about another year or so, um, and she has some good cat-like reflexes, didn't she? She has some good reflexes. So this is a little bit of an area that you can actually get around in. Don't don't ask me what this area is called. I have no idea. All I know is it's somewhere in Ghana. It's somewhere in Ghana. I think it's in southern Accra, south of the airport. That's all I can tell you. It's somewhere south of the airport. So so yes, family. As I leave you, um, once my transportation is cleared up tomorrow, I should then be on the way to um, Cape Coast and the Slave Castle. So hopefully, most time willing, I'll have some internet signal, and most time willing, the transportation will be um, ready to go. But I thank the Most High. I wasn't mad. I wasn't upset. I wasn't, just I wasn't angry. In the past, I would be a little bit of all that. Oh man, they messed us up. Come on, it's too easy. But then I had to say, no, thank you, Father, for grace and understanding. Because here's the thing, I'm going to tell you this. Here's really a paradox. This is just a funny paradox. They know how to operate in literally patience and grace, and literally in faith. I'm thinking my faith was okay. But no, compared to them, But see, there's a faith that has to be an intelligent faith where you move how you need to move. You can't have a lazy faith. I'm sorry. You can't. But when the driver, he was so gracious. He said, Karras, Mr. Karras, it is okay if we didn't go today. God is going to work everything out. His name is Gideon. I said, thank you, Gideon. I appreciate it. Because I wasn't trying to show my being upset, but I was a little upset. But then I had to say thank you, Father, because honestly, last week this time I wasn't even supposed to be here. Last week this time, a week ago this time, I wasn't supposed to be here. It was just Labor Day. And now, in the course of a week, look at where I've traveled. I've traveled literally over 6,000 miles and then some in a little over a week or under a week. So I'm praying that the container works on out. I'm trying to make sure that I can get on up to Burkina Faso and see everything through. Um, it's it's on an unusual time frame. I'm going to say it's very unusual. But again, family, your prayers, your support of the shipping container is much needed. There are things that have to go on because we actually have to clear the container. There's a cost in clearing the container. So we're still trying to work that on out. It's Monday afternoon time frame. We should hear something probably in another hour or so of what the container is looking like. I haven't switched over to my WhatsApp to actually check, but that is where we are. You know, that's kind of how we're moving. It's not kind of how we're. That's how we're moving. So my intent is once that container gets cleared, hopefully within the next hour or two, um, I'm on my way. And the reality is that I need to actually more than likely fly to Burkina Faso. I was trying to do the drive, but then I said, "Oh, that drive is." My driver is like, "I want to caution you against it. I want to highly, highly caution you." Listen, there's one thing I do know. If the people on the ground that live here tell you it's better to just fly than actually drive, then you know what? I'm just going to listen to them because that's wisdom. However, what I do want to do is that I want to coordinate that when that container starts to leave and it gets on the transportation, it gets hooked up. I want to be there to actually see the container, at least, you know, make it here and being transported on the continent. I was at least able to see it leaving the warehouse in Atlanta. So then that would be kind of a blessing. Yeah, it would be a whole lot easier if Burkina Faso wasn't a landlocked country. But unfortunately, you know, you have to do also the land portion to get things over to that country. It's an interior country. It is north of Ghana. So those are certainly some of the things that we have to get done. So I'll be able to fill you all in there. But I have about 11 more days to to get this taken care of, and that time is counting down. Because to be quite honest, no, I think I'm actually in a pretty good window. I'm in a pretty solid window. It's going to be another. I would say I have about another 3 or 4 days in this window. If I don't have a good um, understanding by at least Wednesday, then I'm probably then I'll yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I know I leave on the 19th. So we'll see. We'll see how this thing goes, most high willing. But that's why I said, family, your prayers are important in getting this thing taken care of. Your support is definitely important. So so yeah. So, just enjoying an average day in Accra, in the middle of Accra, just, doing my thing. So I think they're kind of camera shy. Like, what's his brother doing? What's this Negro doing up in here? So I'm trying to not disturb, their their pattern of life. I'm not trying to disturb it, but it is kind of something interesting. All right, family. So with that, I do now have to get going and, get some things moving. So thank you, family. Tomorrow, do not miss out. Do not miss out. And I'll put that on there also, like, special report. Instead of special alert, it'll be special report. Cape Coast, Slave Castle. And I'm not gonna lie, yesterday I couldn't get that much sleep. I was actually pretty nervous. So maybe the Most High gave me a day to kind of like, relax just a little bit. Because again, it is it, as much as people will say, oh, I'm not gonna get emotional. Yeah, right, you're gonna get emotional. That thing's gonna hit your epigenetic center like nobody's business. You know what I'm saying? That thing is in our DNA. You don't think you're gonna get emotional? Get out of here. Get on the ground and tell me that. Get on the ground here and say you're not gonna be emotional. Okay, I'm here, and yeah, you're right. So, Brother Garth, if you want to put that link in the chat, or if someone wants to put the link in the chat for that container, I'm gonna say, listen, to be on the safe side, it's gonna be about $7,500 to be on the safe side. And I'm sorry, there's always literally a hidden fee for everything. It is frustrating, but we don't know because this is our first time. So for those that have the means, or those that can let somebody know that has the means, I look, we appreciate it. QTUA appreciates it. I know times are tough because people don't know what's happening. I know a lot of our people want to be able to save up for Christmas, if they'll even have Christmas. There's a lot of things going on. Thank you, Brother Gar. I know that we've done our best in this community to ask for funds, but I'm telling you, you have 100 people on here. If you can get about 15 or 20 people to support with at least $10. $10. That's not that much. $10. This brother, show the video. This brother's here on the ground. I don't know if you all saw yesterday. I released a YouTube short doing my thing, doing my dance with the chiefs and the elders as they're beating on the drum. Now, let me tell you the significance of the drum. The drum actually signals royalty. The drum is played in the presence of the king. It's to coordinate and it's to then release all the things that are done within Hebrew tradition. Garth and I were able to see that last year. And here's the thing, the Mose King over in Burkina Faso, he didn't want it touched, or he didn't want it taped because it's that sacred. Understand that the other folks, the folks that like to steal identities, they go on over here and they take those little tidbits. So then they can say it's their identity. I would reference Jacoba's video, but I'm not sure if that was still online, if they took that off. Jacoba's video was yeah, that had a lot of that meat. I said, oh boy, oh boy. So we have to do that phone a friend and let folks know, look, this may be our last only choice. They're already telling you that they're trying to do their what? False flag sometime in the next couple of weeks. Come on now. Is it the next couple of weeks, next couple of days? I really don't know. Because of all the stuff that they're trying to do. Going to war with what? Venezuela? Over what? Because they're running out of resources. So they're going to try and steal Venezuela's resources. You already saw that with Iran. They were trying to topple the government so they could steal the oil from Iran. Everybody knows the game. So now, if people know the game, then guess what? You don't have much longer. So when people see the game, guess what they do? Then they get ready to arm themselves so they're not a victim. People are done playing victims. It was real convenient to be a victim when you had USAID bribing you, giving aid. Those days are over with. I told you it was going to be within about a year. It was just a matter of time. When they cut USAID, that was over. You ain't got no more money. Or the system of money, the system of the dollar and the fiat currency has now run its course. It's about a $7,500 push. Don't give that to me. Give that to the Quest to Unite Africa. That goes there. That goes for the Medical Container Initiative. It's faith. It's faith. No, these folks over here, I see the brothers over here on the microphone and the Bible on their little podium with their little speaker system, and they just go to town. They don't even know all the resources that's under their feet. So yeah. Let me get up on out of here. My driver's waiting on me. He wasn't really happy either. He's been trying to give me advice of how to deal with stuff because he was not happy. He's not happy either. Um, Now it's a lot of it's good people. The Most High has literally put me in touch with good people. Very last minute. It has just been a blessing. Shout out to Stephen Abuaji with Atlantic Essential Development. They have been excellent. That is one of our partners with this medical initiative. So shout out to them. Shout out to Gwinnett Business Center. Gwinnett Business Center. If y'all need to get your taxes done, you need to get a CPA. Visit them, Gwinnett Business Center. Shout out because that has been instrumental. Those are two Ghanaian brothers, two Ghanaian businesses that's there in the Atlanta area. So yeah, I have videos of just being there in the actual mountains, going up into the mountains. It is beautiful. It's spectacular. It is spectacular. That thing looked like something from the movies. I said, when do we enter the mountains of Wakanda? They looked at me like, are you for real? Are you for real? What is the Purple Lotus? So I can have the powers of the Black Panther. Is this dude for real? Is this dude really for real? No, it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. All right, family. So with that, I gotta get up on out of here. Thank you all for your prayers, your supports, your gifts. But family, tell your friends, tell your loved ones, tell your bosses. We don't have any time to play. You ain't got no time. The time is up. Let people know the time is up. You already know. They already know time's up. 10, $15, 10 different people. We got this. We got this. And the Most High is going to meet and exceed because you want to know why? This is going to spread like wildfire because people know this time is up. I don't care what you want to say in terms of, oh, well, we're Native Americans, this and that. Man, that mess is over. That mess is a wash. Notice people weren't really talking about that much when them reparations started to come through. When reparations talk came through, oh you a Native American now, huh? Nah, homie. Them reparations came through. I am the Orange Panther up in here. Buy the Sun Kissed soda. Oh. All right, family. With that, I gotta get up on out of here. Shalom, everyone. Be blessed. And again tomorrow, Slave Coast, most high willing. Slave Coast. Or excuse me, Slave Castle. Slave Castle, most high willing. And that will be there at Cape Coast. With that, shalom, salama, siemi, shalom, peace and blessings. Yasharel.